Prometheus is a 2012 science fiction film directed by Ridley Scott. It is loosely a prequel to Alien. Prometheus tells the story of two scientists who believe that aliens, who have been dubbed engineers, created humanity. The engineers, so say the scientists, want humans to venture into the stars and find their alien creators. The scientists are joined by a spaceship crew and an android named David. Once on a faraway planet, the human crew finds that nearly all the engineers are dead except for one. This engineer, for reasons that are unknown to the humans, hate their creations and want to see them destroyed. Prometheus asks the big questions that humankind has asked forever. Where did we come from? Were we created? If so, why? Where do we go when we die? The character Wayland says much of this early on in the film. It barrels through these questions and presents a myriad of viewpoints, raw ideas with admittedly no answers, about our existence. And today, so shall we. Bear in mind that this is not an argument for or against the quality of this film. That is rarely done on this show. This is about the concepts seen in Prometheus, in this case, religious. Prometheus certainly argues for the idea of essentialism, the notion that the differences among the various religions of our planet are limited and cosmetic. During the hologram scene, the two scientists say that the engineers visited and inspired many different cultures: Sumerian, Mayan, Egyptian, Hawaiian, and Irish. As the engineers are a species of people and not one being, this led to polytheistic religions, the notion of many gods. For the Irish, Celtic tradition included its own pantheon, as well as animism, the belief that everything in existence has a spirit. In fact, every culture depicted in the hologram scene in Prometheus shows a polytheistic people, and this may not be an accident. It foreshadows that the being depicted on the slabs of rock is not one creator, but a being that is part of a larger species. Going back to essentialism, it's an optimistic view of our religions. Not only that they have origins rooted together, but also that there is no need for conflict among different faiths if we all have the same religious ancestry. But Prometheus touches upon it only briefly, and never by name. Thoughts about heaven, about paradise, about where we go after we die are prevalent in this film as well. An earlier title for the film was actually Paradise. Wayland is dying and wants to avoid death at all costs. He is revealed to be on the ship and even crashes the party at the end in order to see if the engineers who created human life can also help him cheat death. Shaw, too, is preoccupied with death and where, if anywhere, we go. Shaw's parents died when she was young, but she wants to believe that they exist in an afterlife. She wears a crucifix around her neck, signifying she is a Christian, in spite of the fact that her theory about the engineers contradicts monotheistic Christianity's claim that a single God created mankind, not aliens. Next, let's broach the uncomfortable subject of Maltheism. In the Abrahamic monotheistic tradition, God is considered to be infallible and completely benevolent, regardless of his actions sometimes harming human beings because it is his will and his plan for the universe. Therefore, followers of many faiths believe God's actions justified no matter what the consequences. Dystheism is the concept that God is not entirely good. This stretches to notions of polytheism as well, the belief in many gods, because in most polytheistic pantheons there are frightening deities, trickster gods, rulers of the underworld, and so forth. Maltheism is the belief that God is most certainly evil. Maltheists sometimes contend that God made the universe spitefully, or that God created us to torment, or that God created us with less malevolent intentions at first, but eventually turned on us for our sins or reasons unknown. In short, Maltheism contends that God exists, but is not worthy of worship. In Prometheus, the engineers are revealed to be humanity's creators. They are also revealed to hate humanity. Was this how they felt from the start, or did they change their minds about us? If so, for what reason? Did we do something wrong? Something against their plan? And if we did, what was their plan to begin with? The film leaves this ambiguous. Shaw seems to believe that the engineers simply changed their minds about humanity's worth. The engineers created a weapon of mass destruction and towards the end of the film is targeted for Earth. David suggests that before life, there must be death, hinting that the engineers may be interested in starting over from scratch by eradicating the human race. In summation, this means our gods, the engineers in the film, hate us. Even seeing a few scattered humans and something that looks like a human sends the engineer into a rage. Are the engineers judging us? Humanity has definitely stumbled, to put it lightly, over the centuries. Did we fail the engineers' test? Did we fail God? Or was this their plan all along? Are they nearly inherently malevolent as Maltheism proposes? Maltheism is not to be confused with misotheism, which is the hatred of God, whereas Maltheism is God's hatred of us. David exemplifies misotheism in Prometheus. He was created by Wayland, and he desires to see the old man die. He says, "I suppose I'd be free. Doesn't everyone want to see their parents dead?" It sparks an idea about how our greater understanding of the universe can replace the belief in God or gods. David is scientific progress incarnate, and he wishes to supplant this ancient, dying, decrepit person. Wayland, in this instance, represents God. To the human characters, their gods are the engineers, and they are in awe of them, but they are also afraid. But to David, his creator is Wayland, and he wants him gone. Nearly every bit of this film is mired in creation myths and even beliefs that are held today. Even the title of the film is wrapped in religion and creation. Prometheus, in Greek mythology, was a titan who created man from clay. Shaw's part in the story shows that science and religion are not necessarily always enemies. During the explanation of her theory, someone says that she is ignoring evolution, and she is. The film never resolves this. Though she also rejects part of her own faith, Christianity. The God of Abraham claims the creation of mankind, not pale, tall aliens. Of course, Shaw's understanding of the engineers does not completely discount the notion of a God who created the universe. It is briefly brought up that even if the engineers created humans, who created the engineers? They may have meant alien creators even greater and older than the engineers, or they may have meant an actual spiritual deity. She is a scientist with a view that is heretical to her religion, but she also shows other signs of faith. Not only that she wears the cross around her neck, but also because, in speaking of her theory about the engineers, she says that is what she chooses to believe, not belief based in fact. She chooses to believe. In reality, truth is not democratic. We don't choose what is real and what is not, because reality exists beyond humanity. Reality is not a human invention. The universe is too big, and we are very, very small. Prometheus does not ask new questions or even provide answers, only raw ideas. It is not groundbreaking. It only asks old questions, but sometimes the oldest questions are the most important. Hi everyone, if you like what I do, consider clicking on the orange Patreon link below. That's how this show happens. It's also a way for you to request an episode, so check it out.